Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Eric. We are getting going live here. All right, sweet. So we are live. This is Career Lab Wednesday. I'm your host, George Miller. I'm here every Wednesday, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. And I am here to help you in your career. So whether you are looking for help with resume, interviewing, purpose in your career, being effective in meetings, managing up, managing down. I would love for you to ask any questions that you have. I'll be talking about personality styles today. I will be talking about social and emotional intelligence. That's my expertise. So I will orient towards that, but you can ask any questions that you want. Anything career related, I am here to help you sort that through, help you discern what are the right moves for you to be making. As we're getting going here, there's a few ways that you can jump in. You can join in on the Zoom meeting. I love it when you do that. I can talk to you directly. If you're not able to do that, you can always type your questions into the comment section. Go ahead and type your questions into the comment section, and Jane will get those over to me. I'll do my best to answer your questions in that manner as well. So if you have questions and you want to remain anonymous, just let me know. Just say, hey, I've got a question. I'd like to remain anonymous. And I'm happy to give support in that way as well. So if you're on YouTube or on LinkedIn Live, you can type your questions into the comment section and I will get to those questions. But I'm going to share a little bit. I'm going to start off talking about personality styles and what we do, how you can use your personality to better interact with other personality types. So we're looking at communication. And what does that have to do with your style? So each one of us communicates differently. I mean, if we take it to the total degree, we're all individual people who see the world through the lens that we see the world, and we're all different. We are no two of us are the same. That's kind of a magnificent thing to think about, that there has never been another you and there will never be another you. So this is it. Right now happening is who you are, what you have to work with. And that means that you communicate in the way that you communicate. It's going to be a little different than everybody else. Now, some people you're going to find like, you know, you might start by paying attention. As you're listening into this, just start asking yourself, who bugs you? Who don't you like? Or who do you avoid? Because that can start to give you good data that, you know what, that might be a very different personality type than me. That might be somebody that I communicates more differently than a lot of other people. And, maybe that's part of how I avoid them, or how I don't look forward to the interactions. It might be more of a communication thing than something personal. So that's one thing to start noticing as we're having this conversation. And this is really important because this plays out. We can take this into any workplace relationship. We can take this into an interview. Being able to identify like, oh, I don't like this. I feel uncomfortable in this interview. It might have a lot to do with the type of communication that the person interviewing you is doing. And if you are able to better assess what's natural or more comfortable for you, and you can start to make sense of other types of communication, other styles that people use, you may find that a lot of those knee-jerk reactions, those knee-jerk responses you have, that those don't make as they don't have to impact you as much. You might be able to navigate your way through a meeting with somebody more effectively. So that there's kind of two ways of looking at it. One is your style. So how do you communicate? What's your communication style? And then what are other people's communication styles? So I'm going to be pulling from work that Dr. Bob Wright did and built this personality assessment, thinking it was originally developed for hairstylists so that they would know what type of personality was sitting in their chair very quickly. They would be able to assess that and be able to say, oh, okay, like this is the type of person I'm talking with. I'm going to go ahead and shift how I'm communicating so that they really understand what I'm saying. And what I like about this one is this model. It's called CARE, stands for cooperator, analyzer, regulator, energizer. What I like about it is that it's very usable. It's accessible. It doesn't take a whole lot of training to start having this be useful. And you don't even have to talk about it with anybody. You just like learn the skill and then just start noticing it in your interactions and learning how to style shift those. And I think this model makes it very easy to know how to communicate with other personality styles. That's one reason I really like this one. So this was designed again to help hairstylists know who they're talking to and be able to change their language and how they're communicating. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And the way this is broken apart is into a couple of axes. So on this, we have, you can think about it in feeling and thinking. So there's one axis that's feeling and thinking, and then another one that's passive and active. And there's four quadrants that are created from that. And typically, when people are on one side of a quadrant, like let's say they're in the passive feeling side, they will tend to be more uncomfortable with the person who's over on the thinking and active side. And the same thing with the passive and thinking side will tend to be more uncomfortable with the feeling and active side. So again, just think about people you know that you're working with right now who may, are they more of a thinking or a feeling person? Or are they more passive or more active? Are they thinking and active or thinking and passive? Are they feeling and passive or feeling and active? And just think about that and see who you know in your life that kind of lands in one of these quadrants. So then the styles as they play out then, let me share the screen with all of these laid out here for you. So these are the names that we're given. So cooperator. So the cooperator is on the passive and feeling side, and the regulator is on the thinking and active side. So again, these two will tend to clash. The cooperator makes decisions based on the social feeling of the group. It's very aware of other people's feelings, doesn't want to hurt other people's feelings. A regulator is going to be more like, what is a hurt feeling? What does it even mean? Why would somebody feel hurt? They're much more on the thinking and active side. They just want to get results. And they may be totally unconscious that things they're doing that other people might experience them as being brash or rude. And, so one of the things that I do when I'm working with a regulator is I say, look, I know that you want to get results, and you want to get results fast. It will actually save you time in the long run if you ask more feeling questions. How is your weekend? How's your family? What are you up to? asking some of those questions that might seem completely unrelated to the task at hand will actually help a cooperator uh, sense that they are belonging, sense that that what they say is making a difference and can win over loyalty. Um, and so it's often a good idea for a regulator just to be aware of that. They're like, oh, if I'm talking to a cooperator, I might slow my speech down a little bit. I know, like, I'm going to kind of squirm inside, but I know that in the long run, it's going to help. And it's really, the cooperator will appreciate it. It's sort of like if you go to another country and you're asking somebody how to order food, and if you speak a little bit of their language, it at least shows that you're attempting. Now, in a lot of countries, I mean, I talk about this. It's like if I go to Europe, I might try to speak Italian, and pretty quickly they're gonna speak English to me because they're like, "Yeah, nice try." But but even there, like I think that it shows, that I'm curious and kind of observing and willing to be a little out of my comfort zone to help um to help things happen. So it can go a long way for you to step outside of your comfort zone and shift your personality style a little bit when you're interacting with another, because it's like an olive branch. It's like a, hey, I'm gonna put forth a little more effort here in helping our interaction go smoothly. So I've been talking about the cooperator and the regulator. So a cooperator, when talking to a regulator, what you can do as a cooperator is bottom line. See if you can speak a little faster, and you don't need to give a whole lot of story. So you might practice putting things in buckets of three. And a wonderful thing too is regulators like to be told what works. Regulators are the one group on the planet that kind of a percentage of them like being sold or are receptive to that. Because if you say to a regulator, this is the best way to do it. I've been doing this for 10 years and this way works really well. Like they're like, great, thanks for telling me. Now I'm going to do it. It doesn't take a whole lot of explaining for a regulator. Um, Now, if we shift over to an analyzer, analyzers are they hate that the most. They do not want to be told what to do. Nobody likes being told what to do, but like analyzers really hate it. An analyzer, they make their decisions based on data and putting things together. They want to assess everything. Making mistakes, nobody likes making mistakes, but analyzers hate it even more. And so, an analyzer, if you're talking to an analyzer, just keep giving them information. And if an analyzer asks a question that you don't know the answer to, don't try to act like you do. And just say, that's a great question. I don't know. What do you think? And that right there, then an analyzer is going to have more respect, and they may be able to think through and actually share out loud in a way that teaches you something. So that's when communicating with an analyzer, you're not going to want to try to push them to do anything. If you need them to speed up, you can tell them that. It'd be like, great, I really appreciate that you have a good lay of the land, that you have a good assessment of what's going on here. I need you to bottom line it for me. I need you to tell me in like 3 sentences what's going on. And so that, analyzers will respect that if they understand that you're not telling them that their research and view of the world isn't legitimate. Because if you do that, then they're going to completely lose respect for you. Um, energizers, they like to make things exciting. They make decisions based on possibilities. What's possible here? They make decisions based on what's cool. Like, so they're more in the social side, on the feeling side, but they're also very active. Um, will tend to wear flashier things, um, and are very, they're aware of politics, people. But they're aware of what's going on, and they are good at kind of activating people. They can be the life of the party. And sometimes they'll annoy analyzers and all the others because like it's like, geez, like, why do you have to have so much energy? Why do you have to be the center of attention all the time? And it might be helpful for you to know that actually that's also a huge insecurity for energizers, is that they may not have a sense of self, as they are so good at reflecting back to other people and being engaging. And so they may be very good at performing, but it may not be, they might get tired of that. So if you're talking to an energizer, learning to let them talk about what's possible. If you're a regulator and you're talking to an energizer, like, allow excitement. Maybe even if you turn up, let the aliveness turn on in you more. You can decide, be like, yeah, I'm gonna just have a little more fun. I'm a little outside of my comfort zone here, but I'm gonna be a little more animated. And that will actually take the pressure off of the energizer. If you increase your aliveness, it's like they're like, somebody's meeting me. Great. Okay, I can relax a little bit. Cool. So, and I know for an analyzer, that might be even more outside your comfort zone. But analyzer, if you try, you'll like it. I've seen it happen enough. Um, but a real gift that energizers have is the kind of visionary space. Like, they are good at thinking about what's possible, and they like to take risks more than others. It's like they they find a lot of meaning in that. It's like they'll get bored if they're not doing something that has an element of risk to it. I mean, that's true of all people, but energizers kind of are more on that side. So again, so I'm talking about all these. Each one of us has all of these styles in us. It just is that you will tend to have one or two of these be significantly higher than the others. Um, and so again, though, we each person has all of these quadrants happening. You could think about this like percentages. So I actually made a video for this. It's on YouTube. So you're welcome to um, view that, listen into it, review it. I've used this material for years, so it's something that I've refreshed myself a bunch. So we'll go ahead and throw that into the chat. You can take a look at it. Communication is how we need to get things done. No matter what my technical skills are, if I'm not able to communicate effectively with other people, I have to be like a genius technically. And even then, I'm not going to be able to make the impact I could make if I'm not good at communicating to others. So what I love about this is that it helps any individual, any one of us listening to this right now, thinking about this, we can shift how we engage with other personality styles just a little bit. We do that 1%, it's going to make a difference. We do it 2%, going to make even more of a difference, etc. So you can play with this at any time and start increasing your capacity to shift from one form of communication to another. So take a look at that and let me know if this is something you're really interested in. There's more material on this, and we have um, a test that you can take, an assessment, and you can learn more about what your style is, what your numbers are on this. So I've been sharing for whoa, okay, I've been sharing already for 20 minutes. So you can tell I love this topic and I like social and emotional intelligence because we can start implementing this at any point in our life and it will make a significant difference in our lives. It's just the consistency of saying, okay, I have more ways of communicating available to me. I am not just my personality is flexible. I can expand my personality. It's not a static thing. It is a dynamic thing. I am a dynamic, alive, growing being. And so from that standpoint, it can make a big change in our lives. So I love this stuff, but I would love to hear from any of you. If you've got any questions, any updates, feel free to jump in here on Zoom or type your questions into the comment section. Maybe your relationship with your boss or your team, and you're wondering about, what their personality style might be or what yours is and how to communicate effectively with somebody. I would love any questions that anybody has where if you're thinking about a specific person, a specific relationship, a specific environment, and you'd like to talk through or hear me talk about how you can use personality assessment to enhance your communication, let me know. Let me know. Let me know what questions you have. You can type them into the comment section, or you can jump in here on Zoom, and I'd love to work with you. So let me know. Okay. Well, you know, I'll talk a little bit more. And if there's any questions, though, please do let me know. So our personalities, um, when we are, I think a really great place to start again is noticing your emotions, noticing what you feel when you're interacting with people. Instead of trying to jump over the feeling or not pay attention to how you're feeling, which is how most of us are trained, is to actually allow the feelings to be happening and to pay attention to it because it gives us such valuable data. Because if I'm not even paying attention to how I'm feeling, then I might not know that I'm talking to a different personality style. I might not, and I might not realize this. Um, one story that comes up when I'm talking about personality styles, and I think illustrates this so well, is a client of mine is working in tech and is leading a team, and they're all super nerdy, like super, just like very smart, um, analytical, put things together well. And they finished up a meeting and it didn't go well. So they were working with a client, and the client had tried to hide stuff from them for whatever reasons, and it made the work very difficult for my client and his team because they weren't getting accurate information. They weren't really able to do their job. And so this kind of came out in a meeting. So my client shared this story that after this meeting that didn't go well, he sits down with his team and he was practicing being present with his feelings and naming them. And all he did was say, I am angry. And Now, picture that, like saying that to your team in an environment where nobody talks about their feelings ever. And he didn't throw a temper tantrum. He didn't call anybody any names. He didn't give any other information than just naming how he felt. He just said, "I'm angry." And his team kind of like was silent for a moment, and then somebody else said, "You know what? I'm really upset too. That did not go well. That was horrible." And then somebody else spoke up and was like, that was not a good meeting. You know what? We need to come up with a way to have our clients more accountable and also feeling like they can tell us what's really going on. Because this was a huge waste of our time in building something that like doesn't actually apply for their needs. It's obviously a waste of their time. And so everybody was upset about it. And my client said, "George, this was the most productive meeting I'd ever had with my team. And all I did was start the meeting by saying, 'I'm angry.' That opened up the space for everyone on my team to authentically share how they were feeling. And then, of their own initiative, I didn't have to try to motivate anybody. Of their own initiative, they came up with creative solutions. And we had a much better approach to going into that relationship with that client." So this stuff can be powerful. Being able to be in touch with what I'm feeling and to be able to communicate that in a way that's in rapport with the group that I'm talking to. Again, a little outside of my comfort zone, but able to do it. And then, and so for that, this guy I'm talking about was totally an analyzer. Is an analyzer cooperator, so passive and thinking. And for him to express a feeling, it felt like a huge risk to him. Like he was shaking in his seat as he said, "I'm angry." But facing that fear in the moment then allowed his team, though he led with vulnerability, allowed his team to also say to themselves, "You know what? This is okay. I can be vulnerable and I can say what I'm saying." And that it's like it took the lid off and people's creativity could flow and they were able to connect and not just run everything through, saying, "Well, I'm the smartest," or "I have the best idea here because of da 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 da." They were able to just kind of bypass a lot of the normal chatter that would happen and go straight to getting results. Like, well, what we were doing didn't work. Now let's get something that does work. So shifting how we communicate is incredibly impactful in life. So I hope that serves you. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will be signing off here. You can watch the video about the personality assessment. Let me know if you want to take the assessment and jump on there, check that out. And if you want to schedule any time with me, I'm happy to meet one-to-one. And you can take a look at my calendar, pick a time there. Feel free to schedule with me. If jumping on here on Zoom and getting some coaching while live streaming is not your thing, I totally understand. Great, thank you. Well, fantastic. Well, everybody, happy May 1st. It is a gorgeous day here in Chicago. A bunch of people out in the lake this morning. And I will be back next Wednesday, noon to 1 is the time that I allot to be here. So any questions that come up, let me know. Shoot me an email or message me on LinkedIn, and I will be in touch. All right, everybody. Blessings. Happy Wednesday.